This video, I'll talk about how you can use named ranges as cell references. So in this example, I want to add the commission to everybody's salary. So we would go equal B5, and that's a cell reference, and add B2. And then because I want to drag this down, I have to remember to absolute that cell reference. So rather than doing it this way, I can name this cell something meaningful. For instance, commission. One way of getting it named is up here in the name box. I can just type that name and hit enter. And so now I can grab from this list the word commission. It will select that cell. And then when I go B5 plus and I click on that cell, it will put the word commission. And that reference is an absolute reference. So now I don't have to hit F4 anymore. I can just drag this formula down, and I'll be taking each individual salary and adding the commission. Another thing I can do is have a named constant. So a lot of this named references or named ranges can be handled right here under defined names, and we have something called the name manager. So right here I can take a look at all of the names that I've created so far. So far it's just one. It has a value of 250, but it's referencing cell B2, and notice it already has the locks on there. Well, I can also have a new one, and I just have to give it a different name, so I'll just say commission 2, just so it's different. And right down here, I can just put a value for that. So let's just say 250, and I hit OK. So I have a second named range, and now I can run over here and go equal this, and I will hit the plus sign, and now I can start typing, and notice these named ranges pop up like this, and I can choose commission 2 and hit enter, and of course I'll get the same result. So we just demonstrated a named range or cell and then a named constant. Now, several ways to create these things. We can very easily create them from selection, it's called. So for instance, I want to name this cell salaries increase, benefits increase, equipment increase. So rather than clicking here, typing it up in the name box, clicking here, typing the second one, etc., I can select all of that range, both the names and the cells, and I can say create from selection, and it says, well, create names from values in the, and in this case, the left column. So I hit OK, and now when I click on this cell, let me move this name box over, you can see this says salary increase. This says benefits increase, equipment increase. It has an underscore because you can't have a space in the name. And now when I come up here, I can take this, move that over, this cell times parentheses 1 plus, because I want to increase by 2.5%. And of course, it pops in. And of course, it pops in with the salary increase. I can hit enter, and that fills in that number. And now because that's locked, I can drag it to the right. Unfortunately, I can't drag it down because it's not going to know to go to benefits increase. This is locked. So I have to copy or redo that formula each row and go 1 plus, and this time it's going to be the benefits increase. One of the advantages of using named ranges is your formulas become a little easier to read because it has terms that somebody can understand, and then I can drag that across. So I will do that for each one of these, and then we'll demonstrate another way to use named or to create named ranges. Over here to the right, I have an example of kind of an income statement. So we have the revenue, our expenses, our fixed expenses, and then finally we're going to calculate our net income. You could just type your formulas like we always have, this cell times that cell, right? But that's not all that meaningful for somebody else who's having to look at your spreadsheet. So I want to name all of the cells over here on the right, and as I've just demonstrated, I can select all of that and create from selection from the left column. The only issue I'm going to have is I have 2 total revenues, and so it's only going to take one of them. And we'll say yes because it named one of them, and then it's coming down here and go, oh, I can't do it twice. So one of these will have to give it a different name. But now notice when I create the formula, I'm taking the units sold times the sales price per unit. That's a meaningful formula versus K2 times K3. Make this larger. The units produced, I'm just going to go up here. We'll just fill this out real quick. What are my total material costs? Well, I'm going to take the units produced times the material cost per unit. And again, a much nicer formula. My manufacturing cost is going to be the 125 times the number of units produced. And then my total variable expenses, if I want to add the material cost plus the manufacturing cost. So again, the meaningful formulas, what it doesn't do is if I were to sum all my fixed expenses, even though each of these cells has a name because I'm going across that, that range does not have a name. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Here, total revenue, it just says equal K4. And now right here, total expenses, we're going to go this. Oh, I just that, sorry, total fixed. Oh, nope, I do have that wrong. Total expenses is going to be the fixed plus the variable. There we go. And finally, the net income is going to be this cell minus that cell, the total revenue minus the total expenses. So I guess this is the cell. K4 is the one that didn't get a name in it. Anyway, so what if I do want to name a range of cells? So for instance, I'm going to name this range salaries, this range benefits, and I want to name this range 2022. The issue is you can't have a number as a range name. So what I'm going to do is make these text by putting a single tick in front of each one of these real quick. So that single tick says, hey, this is no longer a number. In fact, that's why I get that green triangle now. Okay, so I can grab that whole area. When I go to create from selection, I'm creating the names from the top row and the left column. So when I hit OK, now salaries, when I select those 4 cells, notice it says salary. When I select these 5 or 6 cells, it says underscore 2022 because you can't start a named range with a number. So here's the beauty of that. I can now go equal sum, parentheses, underscore, and there comes the list of the names, and I can sum the range 2022. Likewise, I can go equal sum over here and just select through here, and of course it will say salaries, or I can have typed that and it'll just pop up as a tooltip. Now there's one problem with named ranges. So for instance, these salaries, when I go to the name manager here and I look for salaries, bing, it is B6 to E6, and that is hard coded. So if somebody comes through here and adds another category to our little budget list here, the named range will not know to expand at all on that. Now there is a trick for this. We'll go to another sheet and try that. So it's using a table inside your name range definition. So right now I have a list of Oregon cities. I'm going to convert this to a table. It's not a table, so I just run insert table. It says I have headers. We hit OK. So now I want to name just the cities as cities, but I'm going to do it with the reference of table. If I run over here and just type cities and then we add something else, then my named range that says cities is going to end at 19. And if I add another city at 20 or 21, my named range won't reflect that. So what I can do is go over here to my name manager or define name. I can do it right here. This is another way to add a name. So what do we want to call it? I'll just say cities. The scope is the workbook, and then this refers to, oh, and in fact, I'll be darned, it already popped up with the name of the table because I didn't name it anything, and then the column Oregon cities. So now that will be my defined name. I hit OK. I'm going to click over here and watch when I type equal cities, which is just the named range, and I hit enter, it brings them in. But guess what? If I add another city, it automatically will update that. So we'll add Redmond, and my named range is automatically updating because under the name manager cities, it's referencing a table. So now let's just say somebody types a city over here. We'll just type Eugene, and I want to do a X lookup on that, equal X lookup. Previously, what we've been doing is saying, well, here's my lookup value, and my lookup array is going to be, we can use, and still can use the table name, table 2, square bracket, Oregon cities, or I can also use named ranges. So if your data is not in a table, you can define the name. In this case, it's cities, and it will look it up over there. Now I only have a one column table, so this isn't a great example because I don't have a return array. But the idea is in your lookups and different formulas, you can reference named ranges as well as table names. In my next video, we're going to talk about data validation, and that is one place where named ranges will come in very handy.